Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Far End of the Bench podcast. My name is Niko Bryant. This week it's my center attention. I know I haven't done one of these in a while, but Olympics just ended. Basketball season is 2 months away, 3 months away, close, right around the corner. I know we'll talk about football, don't you worry. We'll hit on all that. But basketball news, and more specifically Nuggets fans, were in the media this past week with Kevin Durant calling us a bunch of corn dogs. So for those that didn't know, obviously Serbia and the U.S. played a semifinal game in the Olympics where Nikola Jokic and Serbia had at one point 15-point lead in the first half, and looked like they were dominating the U.S. Obviously, other things happened, and Steph Curry happened, and Kevin Durant happened, LeBron James happened, insert name Joel Embiid. I mean, they went off and they cooked, but obviously. Us Nuggets fans have a loyalty to Nikola Jokic. Some people, I'm not going to say myself because I wasn't a part of the bunch, rooting over Serbia over the U.S. Obviously, I bleed red, white, and blue. I always will. I've worked for Team USA. I will always root for Team USA no matter what the circumstances will be. But I cannot lie and say here that I did not enjoy seeing Jokic be the fourth person to ever have a triple-double in the Olympics and the bronze medal game and see Serbia put on an absolute show, which they did. Well, since a handful of Denver Nuggets fans and obviously people that have Jokic ties and loyalty, they're rooting for Serbia. And Kevin Durant decided to go on Twitter at us and say, call us cornballs and say our fandom is ridiculous, that we're not rooting for the U.S. and this, that, and the other thing. And this is now second time in 2 years, 3 years now, since we won the championship, that fans are telling us how to cheer on our team. I think this is the fourth or fifth time since we started this show back end of COVID, end of 2020, when we booed the shit out of Melo. I mean, like, for whatever reason, people just like to continue to tell us how to root on our team. And look, Nikola Jokic is the Denver Nuggets Tom Brady, the LeBron James, the Ken Griffey Jr., the face of this franchise that literally brought this team out from the trenches, okay? I will always love 1-5. And no matter where he's playing and what he's doing, I will cheer on for him. But like I said, you can't be sitting here lying to me that I was not rooting for Steph Curry and Team USA as well, because like I said, I root for them. And I would tell you guys, the vast majority of Nuggets fans are doing the same thing. It's distasteful that Kevin Durant decided to do it at 5 a.m. Paris time and just go at Nuggets Twitter for no reason. I was like, what did I do? Like, besides root on Jokic and then also root on Jokic, I don't know what I did wrong for him to be waking up at 5 a.m. doing that. But I guess Kevin Durant had time that day. So look, it is what it is. I hate that we have gotten to the point now where it's consistently just hating on our fan base and people just trying to tell us what to do and how to root on our team, root on our players. So it's unfortunate that's the stigma constantly. But at the end of be all, I live in the U.S. I was born in the U.S. This is my country, and I will always root for it. But I will also always root for number 1-5, Nikola Jokic too. So whether you like it or not, call me a cornball. I'll love Jokic till the day I die because of what he's done for me. But don't get me wrong, it's always red, white, and blue till I die as well. So with that, I know we'll get a lot more Olympic stuff coming up. So I had to touch on that. But with that, let's get into the rest of the episode.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
He has risen, baby girl. Ugh. I got to bring the energy today because I got none of it left. Absolutely none. I'll save my whole thing for the end because it's not sports related. It's more society and I guess actual real world related. I'm not going to be called a cornball. I didn't watch any of the Serbia games, so I wasn't lumped into that. Yes, I'm glad that Jokic did his thing. Welcome back, everybody, to the Far End of the Bench podcast. If this is the first time you're tuning in, I am Jimmy Pallotto. You guys already saw Niko during the center of attention. It's episode 193, so we got to kick things off the right way, and we've been covering it for the last few weeks. So before we get more into the Olympics, follow at FEOTB Pod, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out Twitch. Those have been slowing down a little bit during school. Don't hate me. I have to be at school by 6:30, so sometimes I don't want to stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning playing video games. But we're back. We got a lot of things to talk about, and we get to talk about Niko's football team. Niko wanted to talk about the Denver Broncos at some point today during the podcast. So we will
Yeah,
talk
crazy.
Broncos, Bo Nix, preseason, all of that stuff. But we are going to start with the Olympics. But before we get into that, it's good to see you. It's nice to see you in person over the weekend. That was awesome. Got to check out your domain.
Shout out the boy coming through. I appreciate you rolling through, brother. Like I said, it was for whatever reason, we'll get into more of it when we get to that segment. But for whatever reason, I love playing in DU, and it always brings excitement. Playing in DU back-to-back game winners is a lot of fun. So it's fun sleeping in my own bed, living 1 minute away from the hotel, and obviously being 5 minutes away from the venue. So it was nice. I have 1 weekend left of the regular season this coming weekend. So who knows if my travel will slow down or maybe it'll pick up. Who knows? But yeah, it was very nice. I was happy you got to enjoy the atmosphere because PLL atmosphere and especially at Denver was one of one. So it was awesome.
It was cool. I'll save my only like gripe or strife, I guess, for when we talk about the PLL. But let's go back to what you were mentioning during your center of attention, and we can focus on the bronze medal first because we do want to mention shout out to Nikola Jokic, Team Serbia. They won the bronze medal and then partied like Eastern Europeans do before they went and got their medal during the medal ceremony. They were all pretty lit. That was fun to see. Like these guys are high level, world class athletes. They're playing on the biggest stage. They're just like us. They're like what we've been playing for the last 3 weeks or however long, the last month and a half plus with this team. We're finally done and we accomplished something. We won the bronze medal. Is that the first medal in Team Serbia history?
I don't know if it's. I honestly don't know the history.
One of the first in a long time, and they did it with one true NBA person that you can say is
one true NBA star. Because Bogdanovic obviously is a role player for the Hawks, and Jovic, who plays for the Heat, didn't get really much run. So it was one true NBA star, and then a bunch of role players, quote unquote, and they got a bronze medal. Absolutely.
Got a bronze medal. I don't know. Who did they beat in the bronze medal game?
They beat Germany, who I expected also to be obviously a medalist contention, and the Schroeder was the leading cause of that, but fell too short to the big honey.
Yeah, Big Honey was. I mean, this is his style of game. This is what he grew up playing. This is what all the rest of the world plays. I think that's one of the really cool things. I don't watch a lot of FIBA events, so all of the international players. I watched a lot of the gold medal game and seeing the guy that was kind of tag teaming with Wemby. I don't remember his name specifically, but they were talking about him on the broadcast as a guy that doesn't have to answer an NBA call. He will if they call, but he's good playing in Real Madrid, one of the big stars over there. So seeing the international game, this was not to make it about one of my favorite sports, but this is a great thing for the Olympics as a whole. Because we are getting back in 2026, the NHL in the Olympics. And when you have best on best internationally, it's just something that's a little bit different. I hope that Russia figures out their doping thing and the IOC lets them compete in 2026 because Russia not in the hockey tournament for the best on best would be terrible. But man, France, Serbia, we saw new countries like South Sudan. That's been a country for less time than we've been alive. Making plays, winning some games, pushing some teams. Like this was it was a competitive tournament. I know that the U.S. beat a lot of teams by some points. That gold medal game, if Steph Curry doesn't hit those last 2 shots, that's a stressful end to that gold medal game. It was already
very, very competitive. And look, that goes to show with the level of international play and how much it's grown, and it will only get better. Like this is the most,
and it harpens back to the greatest Olympic basketball team of all time. If the dream team was not the dream team, France wouldn't look like France does. Serbia wouldn't look like Serbia does. Imagine if David Stern did a lot of great things for the game of basketball, putting professionals in the Olympics, whether you like it or not, has grown the game so much more internationally. And like you said, we talked about the statistic either last week or the week before, that dream team faced 7 NBA players. 7. Not even field the full roster. This Team USA team faced, I believe it was 56 players that represent the NBA, which is obviously the biggest basketball league in the world. Like the competition is just increasing more and more and more, and it's so damn good for this tournament. And like I said, even when our star players go over, it's still going to be a battle. We learned that the hard way. It's going to, like we said, when we took it off in 2004 and we lost to Argentina in the semifinal game.
Manu Ginobili, Luis Scola and company just came in and punked us. So then the Kobe's and the LeBrons of the world took over and brought out the old school and brought in the new school. And this year we said we're bringing out every single star we can, and it's going to be one last run of them playing together. It's going to be the first run and the final run. And like I said, that I'll talk to you about the Serbia game a little bit more in a second, but getting to have LeBron and Steph Curry on the same team, especially Kevin Durant as well, we will never see that again. Like you said, we will never see KD and Steph share the same floor again. We will never see LeBron and Steph share the same floor game in a meaningful basketball game. Let me make that very clear. They obviously play together during the All-Star game, but who the fuck cares? Like, who cares? Okay,
they might win a Kia. They might win a Kia, if you will, in the All-Star game.
Exactly. So who cares? But like I said, it's a meaningful basketball game with a lot of pride and a lot of things going, a lot of fanfare and everything. And man, I tweeted at our boys, our Golden State Warriors fans, like, I'm enjoying watching Steph Curry. So this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like to have. This is fun.
Nice.
The night celebration. The night celebration on hitting a dagger 3 over Wemby. Oh, that's kind of cool when you're on the other side of
the
it.
entire French team. What are you talking about? There were 4 other guys open on that play. 4 other guys open, and Steph throws up a shot.
It's a bad shot for everybody else on planet Earth that's ever picked up a basketball, except that motherfucker. And I remember seeing that. I was like, he's going to throw this up. I literally watched the clock go down. That he's throwing this up. It's going in. I was 100% going in. It went in. The night celebration and Olympic Curry is born. Like I said, it was a lot of fun being able to root him on. It was a lot of fun seeing KD work. It was a lot of fun seeing young guys like Ant and Bam Adebayo.
Devin Booker deserves a shout out for his last 2 games performance.
Booker played really well. Like watching these young guys come in, and those guys that are going to lead in 28 when we play here. It was very, very refreshing to see because you knew where the ball was going at the end of the game. It was 6, 7, and 4. Curry, LeBron, and Durant that were getting the ball. But when those guys needed, they stepped up playing defensively, including Embiid. Stepped up playing defensively. It was great at rebounding, and like I said, they got the job done. Look, it came with bumps in the road. Obviously, the game against France wasn't easy, and obviously they were down by 15 at one point to Serbia. And look, Jokic. The fact that Jokic could do that, it proves even more the fact of the matter is that he's the best player in the world. Is all I'm going to say on that matter. Okay, what he was able to do, getting his players open shots, making life miserable for an all-star lineup of basketball players over on the U.S. side is remarkable. Remarkable. Did I think he was going to hold on? It looks like at some points he was going to, but like I said, it was too much, too big for Serbia to handle KD in the clutch, to handle LeBron driving down the lane. It was way too much to handle, and the U.S. was obviously, they were tested, and that was probably their biggest test. France was a massive test as well, but they kind of kept the lead and just held on to it the whole game. But they tested their wits, and they ended up coming out on top. So, like I said, in center attention, I'll always root on Jokic. Nuggets fans will always root on Jokic. But like I said, I am not in the minority or the part of the Denver Nuggets fans that were rooting on Serbia heavily. I was rooting on Jokic to be the 4th player in Olympic history to have a triple-double because that motherfucker has done glorious things for my enjoyment of life. But I'm also ride or die with USA, and you and anyone that knows me knows that I will do that as well. So, like I said, it was a great test. It was a fantastic test for this team. And like I said, it's going to be games we look back similar to how we look back at the 08 team when Kobe and LeBron and the Redeem team came together. Of the highlights of this team, you'd be like, "Fuck, dude, these dudes are incredible. These dudes are crazy. All these dudes on the same team doing these crazy shots, just skillful basketball. It's like I said, it's so good for the game of basketball. It's so damn good. And like I said, you get one last hurrah with the big dogs playing together."
My favorite thing, the reason why I think it was as competitive as it is you play a lot. Like, I know basketball is not as physical as hockey, football. You do get very tired. Your legs get heavy. You have to play a lot of basketball in a condensed amount of time that these guys aren't used to playing in. So it does play itself into a factor. The team that wins the gold.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
I'm sorry. Any Celtics fans randomly tune into the podcast that you probably should ever listen to. We appreciate it. Subscribe before you tune out. Normally it's Sixers slander. I'm glad that we get some Boston slander, but I just think like the proving that you can be consistent, proving that you can be the team to beat throughout the entire tournament speaks to the level. Like, yeah, this team, I don't think that they would beat the dream team. I don't think anybody beats the dream team. I think Michael Jordan will pull out a gun and shoot you before you can beat that dream team for a gold medal. That is my belief.
That might be
not advocating anything.
That might be a conversation for a different day because the different levels of play, and that, let's not forget that Dream Team did throw a game to a bunch of college kids, including Shaquille O'Neal. So
that was
like I said,
the coach purposely shut the scoreboard off when the score was close. That was his.
He didn't shut it off. He shut it off before people walked in, and they knew everybody got their ass kicked. So all I'm going to say is no one's beatable. Obviously, this team wasn't unbeatable. Everyone's beatable. No one's unbeatable, including this team. So. That's a conversation for another day. But like I said, I'm very, very proud of the way the guys competed and how much they showed up. It was very funny. I found it very funny how we were the ones being targeted. Nuggets fans, we were the ones being targeted, but Celtics fans were openly rooting against Team USA because their golden boy wasn't playing. I found that hilarious. Look, I can't root on. I can't.
Derek White didn't play in the gold medal game either, right? There was zero Celtics on the floor.
Drew Holiday got a lot of minutes, and Derek White got more minutes.
One Celtic.
Either way, they got minutes, and they were on Team USA, and they were openly rooting against Team USA because their golden child wasn't playing. I found that just so funny that we were the ones being sold out. It was like, what do you like? It's hard to put this in a different term because there's not very many other circumstances of international play. But like if I am an Inter Miami fan, for instance, and Lionel Messi wins me an MLS Cup, and I'm a diehard Inter Miami fan, and he does all his fanfare and everything, I'm probably going to root on Argentina. I'm sorry at some points. I'm like maybe not against the U.S., but I'm probably going to root on Argentina for him to do well. There's very few sports that specific player has that pull with an organization, but Jokic has that with our fan base, and it's just so funny. Like I said, I don't know if we can coin the phrase "corn dogs" and make us be the corn dog fan base, but I'm proud to be a corn dog or cornball, excuse me. Proud to be a cornball Denver Nugget fan and proud to be a Jokic fan as well as a Team USA fan. Is all I'm going to say. It's just funny that we were the ones singled out and not Tatum fucking dick riders.
Well, I mean, Tatum was there. There wasn't another Nugget on the roster, so maybe that was why he decided to veer off.
Well, I rooted on Jamal, like Jamal, like I rooted on him, but he didn't do very well. But still, like just insane to me is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we talked about Team Canada last week. They were one of the more disappointing finishes. On the women's side, U.S. did get a gold medal. They also beat Team France in Paris. That one was a lot closer. 1 point victory for the women's team, get the gold medal. The question surrounding that now isn't necessarily like this was obviously a very good team. They obviously won a gold medal. The WNBA All-Star team this year could have also gone in and won a gold medal is what this proves. Because
absolutely.
And now the question lies, did the WNBA screw up by not having Caitlin Clark or now I can't think of the girl from LSU. Angel Reese. Like, yeah, they did not qualify for the team. Yes, you don't want to undermine the way that you have to go about making this roster, but you were going to win anyways. You could have won with the biggest star in your sport and made it worth even that much more. I get Asia Wilson's a stud. I get Brittany Griner played pretty well in these Olympics and all of that, and they deserve to be there. You could have benefited from just at least having her on and playing a Jason Tatum role. Now, if you did that, we'd be having other conversations about why you're not putting one of the best shooters in the sport. But come on. You could have.
All I'm going to say is, like, look, in terms of the women's game, it's better to have more eyes on the sport. Whether the old heads like it or not, it is better that what Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and what Juju Walk or Juju. The girl from USC who's a senior this year, who'll be coming out in the draft next year, that these young girls are going to show is that there's a new young influx of players and they need to be the forefront. And whether they like it or not, congratulations, Diana Taurasi. Congratulations, Brittany Griner. congratulations to some of these other veterans on this team. This is your last fucking run. Now, if you didn't win gold, you wouldn't have gotten a plane ride home, unfortunately, because I'm sorry, but the women's side of basketball is not as good internationally as the men's side. It's not, frankly, it's not even
you scored you didn't score 70 points to win a gold medal.
So if you, like I said, if you wouldn't have come home with a gold medal, it would have been all hell breaking loose and that roster being blown up. But frankly, 2028, there should be an influx of young stars. And the WNBA needs to take into account of who the best players are in the WNBA. Because frankly, like I said, the WNBA All-Stars beat Team US, beat this women's team. They're the only team that beat them, by the way, the only team. So kind of funny how that works out. But I mean, I in a long-term scheme of things, yeah, Asia Wilson's a stud, and she'll be the face of this Team USA team probably for the next 2 Olympics, 3 Olympics, if she plays that long. But having Clark, having Reese, having Juju in 2028, I think will bring more eyes to the games when it comes here, and more eyes to the women's side, especially on home soil, because all the eyes are going to be on the men's side. It absolutely will be. And if you add these stars in and the best players in 28, first of all, you should be dominating these games. Second of all, the eyes are going to even grow further.
If they don't add in the young stars, if they do the same kind of passive aggressive, that's what it was. It was just jealousy and passive aggressiveness.
And no offense to Dawn Staley, she is an old head like that.
Yes, she clearly is. And if you've ever been in like my situation, I see how much more ruthless girls are than boys. Boys may fist fight; they'll fight it out. And I'm gonna have to deal with that. You will shake hands and be buddies with that kid after. I was separating guys earlier this week, and they were like, "That's my best friend. What are you talking about? We're just okay. Yes, I get it. You fight with your brothers. Girls will psychologically
hold a grudge,
terrorize you for 6 months before you even realize that they're mad at you.
6 months.
No, that's just before you realize that they're mad at you. 6 months in, they announce themselves as your enemy, and then they're just your enemy for life. There is no getting out of that. If you're in the hole with a woman or a girl, you are in the hole. That's all. Pause. You're in the hole. Pause. Nothing like that. But if they don't add in this influx of talent, flag football will have more eyes on it than women's basketball in the next Olympics. We will see other sports taking them over.
I don't think that's even a question, Jimmy. Especially if the same type of roster and they do the exact same thing they did this year. I highly doubt they do. Obviously, 4 years is a very, very long time from now. Keelan Clark will be in her mid-20s. Obviously, Angel Reese as well. And Taurasi probably will be retired. Griner will be at the end of his career.
Please, God, please.
Like that. I would be very surprised if that didn't happen in 24. But to be honest with you, there's a very good chance flag football, if they throw NFL players in there, will have the most size ever. Problem where it all comes from is this qualification process. And we can segue that into the other sports because of what happened in breakdancing, apparently.
Oh my
and
God.
How it's no longer an Olympic sport after one tenure. And like
that was planned, but the finale of that, I work with a few teachers that could have done what Reagan did.
I could have done it, Jimmy. I'd
like to give myself more credit than that. I feel like I can carry a tune. I can hold some rhythm. I do have. You have Mediterranean blood in you too. I can point to my chest and do a little kangaroo hop down this.
Oh my God.
See, I'm Australian. Remember kangaroos? This woman, she was on the team because she had a PhD in breakdancing.
I don't know how you get that. I don't know how you get that. I would love to see the qualifications of how you got that. Is the first part.
You write a thesis. You watch other people dance, and you write about it. Doesn't mean you can dance.
Insane, because like I said, the qualifications. This woman apparently was the only qualifier for the Australian team, and she used an automatic qualifier. And look, I work in a sport where it's not obviously as big as the Big Five, and we probably will be a very long ways away from getting being one of the Big Five. But at least there's a thought process and how teams are built and how teams are played and the style of everything. Not just say, hey, go do some backflips and some breakdance.
No backflips. She did like a backward somersault on the floor. She was holding her chin and she was running.
I'm pretty sure she was doing the starfish thing that we would do in summer workouts for football, for ab workouts that our coaches would make us do on the ground. So like I was just I'm blown away. I'm blown away.
Meanwhile, the Korean kid is spinning on her head for 4.5 minutes and like not coming up for air. And I'm sorry, what? They're competing in the same sport?
Competing in the same sport. This is, and like I said, no offense, this is the Olympics, and we're doing this like this. Don't get me wrong. There's a niche. There's a niche for breakdance. There absolutely is. There's a niche for every one of these damn sports. But the niche is, I'm sorry, not bigger than baseball, not bigger than lacrosse, not bigger than flag football for that matter. It's insane is all I'm going to say. And that was a fun little end to the Olympics, seeing all that happen, because that was one of the last sports to be, or last competitions, as I'll say, last competitions of the whole weekend, and seeing that was very, very funny.
So that was in the men's side. It was the Canadian guys. Good thing. So Ray Gunn scored 0 points in her little break, whatever you want to call that, break dancing ?
I mean, look, like for those that, even like for me, who has no idea how the scoring works, if you put a 0 up there, you have to royally fuck up. And that's the same thing. Like I said, you watch gymnastics, you watch whoever, even if you watch the people that finished last in gymnastics, like, oh, that's pretty good. But it's little small things and why they're not better. That you're like, I'm sorry, 0. Yeah, 0 points to not even give them a score. Give her a score.
I'm not even. Okay. That was the equivalent of from Tommy Boyd's. Like, that was one of the most dumbest, rambling, incoherent responses I've ever heard. I will award you no points. Everyone here listening to you is now dumber, and may God have mercy on your soul. Like, that was the IOC that was the response that the IOC gave, where they didn't even. I'm not going to justify that with a number. I don't know what that was. I'm just going to
single-handedly got the sport removed from the Olympics. Let's not forget about that. Okay, single-handedly, they saw that and they started like, oh, we're the laughing stock now. Not the misgendering an individual.
The balls hanging out during the opening ceremony.
Hanging out, like not all this, but the breakdancing person who is doing burpees off the ground. That's what you show for your sport. And insane, absolutely insane.
How does France? Because that was what France introduced. So the host country always gets to introduce a sport. That was the sport that France introduced. How do they not try and get parkour in there? We have American Ninja Warrior. You could take an American Ninja Warrior course, shorten it down, make it an Olympic event, see how many times people can go through. You can race. Like, France, when I think of France, I don't think breakdancing. I think breakdancing. I think New York. I think LA. Like, that would make more sense if during the LA Olympics we were going to add in breakdancing. I don't think France and think breakdancing. Apparently, it's really important to their culture, which makes sense because France just likes to steal stuff from us and say, oh, no, we do it with a little bit more flavor. We do a little bit more. We break dance. We b-boy harder than you do.
All I'll say is this: is that we know how to say hamburger correctly, and we also.
I would like to buy an hamburger.
And we also own breakdancing, even though it's not. It shouldn't be competed like at that high level. It's not anymore, and that's a fact. That's not even an opinion Jimmy and I are making. No. It's not anymore.
That's a fact. And insane. If we're gonna have it back, I would like to nominate any person who's ever been on Broadway. Even though you've never breakdanced before, you will be able to at least score some points.
Yes, Reagan. Absolutely. You'll be able to do something and not record 0.
No, don't ever want to do that. Did you watch the closing ceremony? That was like the other thing that I was going to talk about with the Olympics. I did.
Before we or after we talk the closing ceremony, I want to talk about the track because there's some shit that went down. But all I'll say is this: Tom Cruise jumping off the building. All I'll say is this: wrestling has maybe dumbed me down, but I didn't think that was impressive. Fight me. I've seen a guy zip line off the top of a fucking stadium once every fucking April for WrestleMania, and I've seen do Swanton bomb with nothing connected to them from 20 feet in the air. Okay, so getting guided down like you're an angel from the top of a building. No offense, Tom. I know you do your own stunts. Good for you. Cool. Whatever. It's not that impressive to me. Is all I'm going to say. That's my 2 cents on it. I'm sorry. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen Shane drop himself from 50 feet up and like he was holding himself and and the guy hit him in the back and he decided to let go. Like, yeah.
All I'm going to say is if Tom jumped out of a helicopter and landed in the middle, it would have been a little more impressive. He had every single wire known to mankind hooked up to him. And he literally just went like that, and just angeled off into the onto the ground. I look cool, good for you, Tom, but whatever.
Niko, he's 62.
Yeah,
I would like if he jumped free, if he was a free jumper at 62, I'd have been just a little bit more nervous. I know that he's done it. I guess he's done it before. I do like the Mission Impossible movies. I liked him in Jack Reacher. I'm not the biggest Tom Cruise fan, but I do have to back him up a little bit because he wrestled in college. So he was a former wrestler. Wrestling, I'm not going to bring up after last week. There wasn't really a whole bunch more to talk about. The Americans didn't have as good of a showing as I was anticipating. So we'll see what happens with that. I didn't watch any of the closing ceremony. I'm not a big like pomp and circumstance person. I watched the highlights of the Beijing like opening and closing because China just that's China's thing.
Yeah.
If we wanted to add in a sport for China, we should just do like flash mob, and China and Japan would just dominate everybody for the next however many years. That was what I wanted to bring up. Outside of America, there are, I believe, 3 other countries who have won a gold medal and one no longer exists. Yugoslavia was the only other country that was back before they split everything. If Yugoslavia still existed, we would have had to deal with an Olympic roster of Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic and Jovic or Bogdanovic or whatever other Vich you want to throw in.
Boban, you throw Boban in there. You could throw Vlatko. Like, the roster would have been
John. Yeah. There's so many chis and there's no ch. It's just so. Even when I saw the Team Serbia jerseys, I was like, SER.
No.
Oh, yeah. They don't have an I. It's just SRBJA.
SRBIJA or something like that. There's no E. It's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah. No, and don't mess with Serbians. Serbia single-handedly caused both World War I and World War II. So don't mess with Serbia. That's just not a good idea.
Let's talk about this track fiasco because I do want to touch on it because this guy doesn't want to shut his fucking mouth.
Did he say something after Tyreek? So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, we did mention Noah Lyles. He hadn't ran the 200 yet last week. He lost the 200 and then decided that he had COVID. He was. I will give him this.
But was clear COVID 24 hours later.
But he was wearing a mask during the semifinals when they were in the staging area. So it's not like I think that he was doing that more strategically than anything to say, oh, I was wearing a mask. You guys saw me in the mask. I was totally sick. Yeah. I'm all for playing the heel. And I get what he's doing because nobody gives a shit about track outside of 4 years. Nobody cares. I watched sprint in 2 weeks leading up to the Olympics. I watched like 3 or 4 sprints, actually sat down and watched all of the events. I didn't watch everything in track and field. I think everything is above track and field in the U.S. outside of Olympic time. So I get what he's trying to do, and I get that you have to be this jackass and call people out. Oh, world champion of what?
No, Jimmy, it gets even better. It gets even better. Noah Lyles is a brand new Adidas athlete. And for those that didn't know, Anthony Edwards just had a Adidas shoe come out. He said he saw as a sign of disrespect that Adidas was doing a good gesture, being like, "Hey, we have a new shoe coming out. We'd love for you to come to the event and interact with some of our other athletes." He said, "Why is he getting a shoe? What has he done? Won anything ever?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't. I'm sorry. Let me hold on. Let's talk in 365 days when everybody still forgets your name. Okay, is all I'm going to say. So I look good for you, Noah Lyles. You're the fastest man on earth in terms of the 100-meter.
But you lost your own event.
You lost your own event, the 200. You lost 300, and you decided to
he pulled himself out of the relay team.
Be a nuisance to the entire Olympic Village by testing positive for COVID and still going out there and competing. By the way, even though obviously you knew you had it because you had the mask on, and you just didn't say anything until after the race, and that was your excuse for coming in third. Because that was your race and everyone knew it was your race and that was your excuse for coming third, and then covering your ass to the point where you knew you were out partying and you knew those videos were going to come out after the Olympics, so you had to make sure to post online that you had a negative COVID test so that you were clear. I look. All I'm going to say is this: Team USA basketball and USA basketball had a fucking field day. Because if you look at the mentions of what USA did, is like, are we world champions now? Question mark. Best in the world? Question mark. USA track and field at Noah Lyles. All this. I was like, Oh, jeez, you don't need to cook. I didn't realize.
Oh no, cook him. Cook him. He fucking deserves it. If you are a man about it, if you came out and I gave him the out just like I was giving the women's person the out. When Julia Alfred won the 100, I was not expecting you to double, because running 100 meters as fast as you can and preparing your body to do that, and then being ready to run 200 meters as fast as you can in 2 days, of course you're going to be slower. So I don't care if you lose that race. You're talking a lot before the race, so you better make sure that you put out a good performance. You at least medaled, but be a man about it. Like, be a dick when you win. I'm good with that. If that's how you want to handle yourself, that's not how I would like to handle myself. That's not how I like my athletes to handle themselves. If you're gonna do that, be a dick when you win and be a gracious loser when you lose. Because if you're a dick when you win, everybody's gonna love to prey on your downfall when you lose. And you're just making it worse.
All I'm going to say is this: is like I said, good for Noah Lyles. He won the fastest man competition, the 100 meter. Like I said, he didn't compete very well. Obviously, he struggled and had to have comeback win for that gold medal. I would say this right now: in 2028, when we come back here, I'd be surprised if he won it again. Is all I'm going to say. It is, like I said, this was his Olympics. This was his time to shine. And look, I know you and I are both coaches. You and I have both been around youth athletes and young athletes in high school. Obviously, we played. College, we both played a little bit, and we've been around it. And we know that if it was a team sport, that shit would have never flown, and it would have been a disaster, and that guy would have never made the team. Is all I'm going to say. But fortunately for him, it's an individual sport. All I'll say is this: if there's one person or two people, I'll put it down to two people. There's two people in the entire Team USA team that traveled to Paris that can say whatever the fuck they want and not get any backlash for it, but decided to do the other route and be good teammates and cheer on for others and be there for the Olympians. It's Katie fucking Ledecky and Simone Biles, because those two are the damn stars of the Olympics for the U.S. And
the goats of their sports.
And instead, we were here sitting about Noah Lyles and his idiocy because he's going to be irrelevant in 4 years. Like I look, it sucks. It is what it is. But man, like I said, for young athletes out there, this is not how you should compose yourself. Especially if you're trying to be good graces, trying to further your sport, further the people around you. It's just not how it should go.
Think about it in terms of like what we always talk about with WWE. They tell you when you're going to be a bad guy, tear down your opponent, but you got to leave something. You got to leave something there, because if you tear everything down and you lose, you just got beat by a guy who has nothing. You called him a loser. You told everybody all the reasons why not this person should beat you. If you leave something like, I hate him, I don't like how he dresses, I don't like how he walks, I hate the way that you talk, all that. As long as you leave something, but he's a very damn good competitor and I'm hoping to run a good race. That's all you need to do. You can beat all of them.
And be respectful of other Olympians. That was the biggest thing for me. It's blatant disrespect for Team USA in general across the board, whether it be as track and field people partying and then posting the non-COVID test, obviously endangering other athletes, being around there and being tested positive. Then also the disrespect to basketball players and disrespect to the NBA. That's what irks me the most. And it's the blatant disrespect to the other athletes, where it just bothers me more than anything. And like I said, the guy is an hell of an athlete. He's one of the fastest men on the earth, and is the fastest man in the 100 meter for the next 4 years. But man, I really wish that he would have conducted himself in a better way.
I see a very similar trajectory to Marcel Jacobs, who was the winner from the previous Olympics before the Paris ones back in 2020 in Tokyo. Never won another race after he won his gold medal. I can see a very similar fall off coming for Noah Lyles. He did accomplish his goal, because we did spend more time talking about him than I actually ever want to anymore outside of an Olympic cycle. And that will wrap up our coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics. We won't be talking about Olympic sports again until 2026, when we're going back to Italia, the motherland, the boots. We get to go,
and the hockey will be back in the Olympics.
Hockey,
and I don't know if you have the medal count picked up. The U.S. got the most medals.
Yep,
but
and tied.
Yeah, unfortunately tied for the most gold. So
I will take that as a win, though, because China has 1 billion people.
Thank you,
Noah Lyles.
We have
for 350
winning
million.
the event you should have done.
Yeah, that was a goal we were looking for. No, I will still say, like, the amount of people that they have and only winning 90, they didn't even win 100 medals for having 1 billion people there. I will take the split. However, we also had the most amount of silver medals, and I think we had the most amount of bronze of the people that were.
Well, let's not forget China is just dominates in the pool in terms of
The dive. Watch the diving. Watch synchronized diving and watch the Chinese teams.
Oh, insane! Absolutely insane.
And they have the same names. It's like they just copied and pasted the same exact person.
And look, we are not charting uncharted territories when we're saying this. This is not Jimmy's a history teacher, an English teacher, whatever. And they literally, like you see the video, they literally look like one person just falling down to the water with little splashes. I'm like, how? I'm sorry, what?
I can put this into perspective. Okay, if you are 1 in a million living in China, there are still 300 million people that are exactly the same as you. That's how many people that live there. So it's hard to stand out. There's not that many names that go around. There's only so much DNA that we've evolved to at this point. So they do look very similar. But, I mean, they train. It's a discipline thing. I bet you they are synchronized when they walk in, when they get dressed, when they walk out, when they eat. They are sitting on the same side of the table. They have the same fork. Whatever utensil they're using is in the same hand. Down, up, in. Chew,
everything
chew,
they do,
swallow.
Everything
down,
they
up,
do is all synchronized, and that's, like I said, Olympic athletes specifically are just wired differently that way, and obviously the Chinese divers are something to behold because that was quite impressive.
All right, let's get into this PLL. So, I have that. See, spelling mistakes are just gonna happen at this show. It's the last regular season week of the PLL, but before we get into what's coming up this week in Utah, let's go back. My gripe with Peter Barton Stadium, and I heard some other drunk assholes talking about it in front of where we were sitting. I'm only saying they were drunk assholes because they were there. When you picture Menver, like the nightlife in Menver, it was these guys. And they made a good point. Like, they knew the PLL was coming for this long and they didn't fix the home side scoreboard.
You're preaching to the fucking choir here, Jimmy. Is all I'm.
How did the league react to that? I can't imagine that they were.
The league was. All I'm going to say is I'm not going to tell our secrets, but we've had some other catastrophes happen right before games. But look, you don't know how many times I was asked what the score was, and I'd say, hey, just wait 2 seconds. It's going to be in the top right. Like, you don't know how annoying that was.
I showed up. I thought Denver was getting beat 15-0.
It was fixed. It was fixed for the second day, but still, the first.
It was a little confusing when I showed up. I showed up halfway through the Denver Maryland game, or I guess it was the fourth quarter when I first got into the venue. DU's a beautiful campus. It's a nice area of downtown where you're not like super far downtown with all the buildings and the massive amount of people and the homeless and everything. So Peter Barton was an awesome venue. I think DU loves when the PLL goes there because a lot of the concessions is all – I don't know if there's a split with the league, but I know for a fact I was paying a majority of the money that I spent on concessions to DU and whatever athletic fund that they need for their schooling. But it's a beautiful campus, beautiful stadium. Everybody in the PLL has been to DU or played for DU is what it seems like. Jack Hanna had a big game for the Water Dogs against the Redwoods in the game that I was watching. Shout out the boy for hooking me up with the new threads. I wish I got there early enough to get one of those hats. I wanted a Redwoods rope hat, but they closed up everything by the time that I had gotten there.
Those have been sold out for 3 weeks, unfortunately.
I could see that. That's the Laxbro outfit. You need something that has the lacrosse club on your shirt, and you need the rope hat.
That's my practice fit. Like when I'm about to be in Utah this weekend. When it's 90 degrees out there, I'll be in the rope hat with a t-shirt and shorts on, and that'll be my practice fit. Don't worry. But yeah, like I said, Peter Barton Stadium, it's gorgeous. I love the stadium. Don't get me wrong. The mountains, I'm still a little interesting. How those big red mountains in the middle look and how weird they look.
What? Yeah.
Did you not?
I saw the mountains. I thought that was that PLL or was that DU?
No, that was not PLL. That's the DU turf. That's the DU turf.
Yeah. That makes no sense because they're the Pioneers. The Pioneers didn't go through the mountains. The Pioneers would have stopped on the eastern side of the
I don't know.
state.
They put the Denver skyline on the field for whatever reason. DU did that, and it didn't bother us too much. I didn't really notice it a ton, but you definitely, as you're seeing the views, you're like, oh shit, that's pretty crazy. But like I said, the only gripe I have about Peter Barton Stadium is how small it is. And that's that. Like I said, I have not. I'll be careful with my words here, but I had to make sure my family had seats. Is all I'm going to say. Is that and friends, and obviously you getting you in, and that wasn't the easiest thing in the world. So hopefully, now because look, the Outlaws fan base, the most amount of fans I've ever been to a pro lacrosse outdoor event. Let's not forget, was at Mile High Stadium on July 4th, 2015. I think it was near 40,000 people. Yes, 40,000. More people than fill up in an entire, double the size of Ball Arena. Went to an outdoor lacrosse game on July 4th for the Outlaws in 2015, or whenever it was, in the 2010s. And like I said, we're going to outgrow that stadium so damn fast. And it is such a beautiful venue. DU is awesome to work with. The facilities are amazing. But unfortunately, we're getting a bit too big, especially the Outlaws fan base is diehards, and it's very, and they show up very well. That we're gonna need a bigger, like I said, we're gonna need a bigger boat. we're gonna need a bigger boat. We're gonna have to figure something
You're in
out.
Jaws territory for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I was actually having that same conversation. I was sitting up with your parents and I was talking with your mom about that, and I was kind of like, well, it's nice that they got all the host cities, but I feel like they're probably going to have to go to like Dick's Sporting Goods in Commerce City if this does grow the way that it tends to be growing right now.
I feel like Dick's Sporting Goods would be fantastic. The only problem is that I believe the Rapids are in season. That's the most difficult part about it all.
There's a ton of fields. I know that there's the one professional stadium there.
There's Glendale. There's Glendale also, where
Glendale has the rugby stadium that's a little bit further downtown, so that might be kind of why it is partially about, I think, the accessibility, and with it being a DU, there's a light rail station right across the street. There's Colorado, which was a mile up the road. That's where I ended up going, and I just walked to the stadium. Like it is a very easy location to get to. That's my one issue. Like I don't know where they're going to put it. Commerce City makes the most sense because Dick's Sporting Goods is already a professional facility. And it was tight. It was tight. The first game was packed. I was up at the very top of the stands when you got me back there when I was trying to find everybody. Good luck finding somebody if you're looking. Like I walked back and forth in the front trying to hope that I stuck out enough, and I couldn't see anybody until the game was over. So it was packed, and I assume that's the smallest stadium of any of the host stadiums in PLL. I think I gotta figure Johns Hopkins is bigger.
No, Hopkins is bigger. Hopkins has the two-sided stadium. I think Columbus last year at Ohio State, which we obviously weren't at the shoe. For God's sake, we weren't at the shoe, but we were in their small side field, so that was probably smaller. Utah has a pretty big two-sided thing. I'm pretty sure this is the smallest venue we have all season too,
which at least for this season. So I feel like that's not going to be. It's just not sustainable, and it's unfortunate because I love the DU ties, and that's why a lot of people go out to the games. I see more people in water dog stuff. I'm sure, I don't know specifically who on the Redwoods would have been a DU guy. There's probably some somewhere, and there's going to be more coming into the league. So DU having a relationship with the PLL is awesome. It's just unfortunate that you have such a tiny, you're a private college. So all your money is going to the academics and the master's programs. And everybody loves your hockey and lacrosse team, but they're doing a lot on a shoestring budget.
The hockey team stadium, obviously, Ritchie Center is insane of how nice it is. And obviously, they've won 10 hockey national championships, so they can do whatever the hell they want over there. Like I said, if it was two-sided and had some more stands, the venue and the facilities are still top tier. So I'm not going to sit here and complain it. Going into the game, like I said, we had two players play this week that played for DU. 1 point, TB Erlen, our faceoff guy, spent a year at DU at the end of his college career, and then
thank God he started winning some faceoffs towards the end of the game, because that was one of the big gripes, is that the Redwoods were just the faceoff circle was tough.
The guy they were facing was also a DU guy, Stathakis. The faceoff guy for the War Dogs was a DU guy too. So it was both DU guys going at the stripe against one another, and then the game winner overtime. Westberg won a national championship at DU, and then he obviously hit the game winner at home, which was a lot of fun, which is super exciting. It was funny if you look back on I believe it's on Twitter. I think YouTube has it too. The post game press conference had Berge and had Charlie Bertrand and Westberg, both of them there. And West was in the interview room looking up at all the pictures of all in the press conference room they're in, and West's face is on the damn fucking board over there. I was like, as he was doing the interview, he was like, I just looked over there, I just saw my face. I was hosting the national championship, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty damn cool. Is all I'm gonna say. So, like I said, West is one of my favorite guys on the team. Being around, he's a joy to be around. He's a hell of a player, and who else but Westberg is all I'm going to say, and him to put that cap on it, man. Like I said, that's two overtime winners at home. At 3-0 3-0 now that the Redwoods are all time at DU. So we like playing here. Is all I'm going to say. It's a lot of fun playing. And
that's why I was hoping they would choose Colorado for the Redwoods, but I get the Outlaws.
It's better that way because we didn't get rebranded. So we didn't get rebranded, so we're still alive, unlike the Chrome. So, but yeah, look, I cannot say enough good things about the crowd and the home atmosphere I felt for the Outlaws. So there's fans that made their own shirts that said Law O'Neill 24. Like the presidential campaigns, the guy, obviously the drummer, I forgot JoJo, the drummer, who used to be at all the Outlaws game, was back for the first time in 4 years.
They did a lot of bringing back like the former glory days of the Outlaws too. The Outlaws were a very successul MLL franchise. They have a lot of history that they could pull from, and I will say good on the PLL for. I mean, you're not forgetting anything. Like that was the big. That's why I knew the PLL was going to make it over the MLL. Besides the money and the name value, they understand the relationships with people, and they are willing to integrate both leagues' history into the one. There's one professional outdoor lacrosse league that everybody is behind, and that was the PLL, and I give them a lot of kudos for bringing in all those historical figures. Like somebody that's never watched MLL lacrosse, I could respect. I gave the guys a standing ovation that have been there and have built the foundation of Denver Outlaws lacrosse.
Absolutely. It was very, very cool to see. And obviously Matt Bocklett, who's one of the Outlaw greats, his number was retired by the former Outlaws. It's not currently retired, which I think is very interesting, but I think they'll eventually retire it again. He was there. He's the head coach at Cherry Creek, so it was a lot of Cherry Creek High School, so it's fun. Both you and I went to school. Obviously, I coached the Creek Youth Program. The second day games, the Outlaw game, the Creek Youth Program, second grade team. I coached the fourth grade team. Second grade team was the halftime show, so they got to run out there, do their own little thing.
I know that your kids would have wanted to do that, but watching the team from Friday night's halftime show, it might have been better for them not to be out on the field.
All I'm going to say is the Creek kids put on a damn show because the two goalies in net were the only two that scored. Yes, the goalies would just make a save on a kid, run down the other end, score. Make a save, run down the other end, score. It was electric. The crowd was losing their mind. The two goalies were going. I mean, obviously they don't go the full way; they would have to field, but the goalies were making saves, scoring goals, and I was sitting there just laughing, enjoying myself. Obviously it's a youth program I grew up in, and so it's cool to see. But our former teacher Weiss has done a fantastic job with the program. So it was a lot of fun to see the Creek kids out there and putting on a damn show.
Shout out Mr. Weiss, one of the reasons why I am a social studies teacher, because he was one of my favorite.
He was the reason why I was a coach last year. So he's the damn man, is all I'll say.
There's a reason. Everybody, now this is going to get really specific to Colorado. Everybody wants to wonder why Cherry Creek has a really good youth football team, really good high school football team, youth lacrosse, high school lacrosse is good. We stick around, and the guys that coached us as kids like to bring us back as coaches when we get older. I'm working with Brian Morlock. He's a guy that coached you and I when we were 7. 7. He's still coaching youth football, and he's the one who brought me in with my team. So,
you would enjoy this. So for those, obviously, if you're Colorado, you don't live in Colorado, jump ahead 30 seconds. But you would enjoy this. So as I was standing on the cage waiting for the second game to end, there was kids lined up to get autographs, whatever, after the second game on the second day. I was just standing there waiting for the game to end to jump on the field, and the kids were like, "Can I have your hat? Can I have your jacket? Can I have a ball? Can I have a ball? Can I have a stick?" And I was like, "No." And then finally, I was like, "All right." tell me what high school you guys are going to go to. And I heard Arapahoe, Valor, Grandview. I heard East. And I was like, one kid said Creek. I'm like, you're getting a ball. Thank you. Have a nice day. And they're like, I'm going to Creek. I'm like, no, you're not. You all lied to me. And so I got that kid the ball, and then I went on. So it was very funny.
Oh, you gotta give love. CCOD. All right. Games from last weekend. Let's just look at the scores. I do have one question, but we can talk about that for the preview of the regular season finale. Starting the things off, Whipsnakes beat the Outlaws, opening things up Friday 16-9. Redwoods obviously got the big overtime win 13-12. Then on Saturday, Atlas beat the Archers 15-11, and the Outlaws split their home series. They get a win 10-4 over Carolina. So they got 1-1 for the home team. Looking forward to this week, Redwoods will finish in Salt Lake against the host Utah Archers.
Not
another
finished.
chance
We're not dead yet. We're not dead.
No, not dead.
We're not dead.
You're going to have to beat them by 40, but that's beside the point. I can say that. I'm not going to make Niko say that. I can say I'm a little bit jaded. I've now watched an entire game. I've seen things. The Water Dogs lived in our crease. And I don't know what they did. They cast a spell before the game. Every time the Redwoods would go to the attack side, they were going to the sideline and going to the corner, which is great. But guess what? You can't score from there. It's been proven.
Like I said, I'm not saying anything because I'm not. But all I'll say is,
and I don't know what I'm talking about. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Let's just put that out there. But all
I'll say is one team.
Your dad, your mom, and I all had the same idea. Like, why do you not just go to the middle? Try and get somebody to the middle.
Right. Is all I'm going to say is we do have a guy that goes to the crease. He's just never open because when Westberg touches the ball in the crease, it's an automatic goal. As you could see when the game winner went in the back of the net, and that's our crease guy. So I'm going to say they lock him off like white on rice is all I'm going to say. But yeah, with this past weekend's results, we're not dead. We're not dead. We won. We still have to make up only 22 goals actually now, as I saw. So it's not as bad. Not as bad as last week. It's a little better. There's two scenarios of us getting in. Obviously, we have to win. That's the first thing. The Archers and the Chaos are the two teams that are still technically alive. Or they're not technically alive. They are alive, but they're in the playoff position, and we are the team looking in. So with our minus 31 goal differential, and the Archers have a +4, I believe, and then
they do have a +4.
Chaos have a
-9.
-9. So what has to happen is we have to win by more than 10 goals. Let's just put that out there, okay? For us to have a chance, we have to win by more than 10 goals. Then that gives us a chance to either get within striking difference of the Chaos. Hopefully that they get their shit braked in by the Cannons, which the Cannons are vying for a number 1 seed. I still believe is available to them. I think. I'm not positive on top of my head. So they're still trying. So they may try it for that goal differential to get a bye week. And then if you look, and then obviously the Chaos the Chaos play the Cannons this week. That's the goal differential we're looking for. Then the Archers play us, which would help our differential. It's a two-sided coin, so we beat them by 10. We subtract 10. They add 10, get a little bit closer in the middle, and then the second game happens. So they have a doubleheader. But the Archers are a team that won it all last year, and we haven't beat them in 2 years. 2 years. So that's not very fun to think about.
You got to break the curse sometime.
Like I said, look. Crazier things have happened. So I got reminded this, and this was the very, very first year of the PLL. So 2019, 6 teams also made the playoffs. The last couple of years have been 7 teams. 2019 was also 6 teams. The Redwoods at the time were under 20 goal differential away from making playoffs. Basically, similar situation to where we are. Like it was a very, very tough hole to get out of. Well, you look back and look at those highlights. Massive penalty happens. Massive fight happens in the Redwoods last game where the opposing team throws a couple punches and there's 2 5-minute majors that are unreleasable. 2 5-minute unreleasable penalty majors later, and the Redwoods make up the differential, win by 15, and make the playoffs. All I'm going to say is we're not dead.
It can happen.
Okay? It is not impossible.
If you're looking for something exciting, this is it.
Super things have happened. Does Jack Kelly, and I love Jack, does Jack have to play his ass off and basically let in less than 5 goals? Absolutely. Can he do it? I think he can if our defense steps up. But our offense needs to score double digits, and like I said, if our offense can put up the offensive output we did last week, and TD is just absolutely dominates from the faceoff, and Jack Kelly can let in less than 5 goals, I feel as though we can get to the win by 10 goals. Is all I'm going to say, and that's very tough to say because the Archers' offense is very good, and they're one of the best in the league. But as I was pointing out this past week, the Archers do lead the league in turnovers. They do lead the league in turnovers. So got that going for us. They have Matt Moore, who dislocated his shoulder, I believe was the injury, and he will be out for this week's game. So look, all I'm going to say is this: is don't count us out. And if you let us in, man, don't let us get hot. Is all I'm going to say. Do not let us get hot.
I think that it's good to point that out. We were trying to do the mental math over the weekend of what needed to win first off, and needed to win by a lot of goals. I'm not good with big numbers like that, so I'm just going to leave it. Win by a lot of goals again. That's the plan. That's the game plan.
Look, win by a lot of goals and give yourself a chance. That's all. That's my. That's
just need a ticket to the dance. You get a ticket to the dance, anything can happen.
Give yourself a chance, and like I said, worst case scenario, we end on a high note, and the guy, and like I said, we had a couple bad losses at the beginning of the year that came back to haunt us, not making playoffs, but we end on a high note, and we build towards next year and have a good core and go from there. Because like I said, ending the season on 2 wins as opposed to only winning 1 game, the Wire Dogs did all season. And that was in Minnesota about 8 weeks ago. Would be a massive turnaround. So I would love to see us finish strong. And whether they make the playoffs or not, we'll see. But just go out on a high note.
Yeah, the Water Dogs, that's just a rough season. If they finished successfully this year, they would have finished with 2 victories out of.
What made it worse was so Coach Tierney, the head coach of the Water Dogs, who was a brand new head coach this year because the former Water Dogs head coach decided to retire. He was the DU coach for a very long time. Princeton head coach, won at least 5 or 6 national championships. One of the greatest coaches in the world, Coach Tierney. And after Minnesota, which I believe was like week 3 or week 4.
It was July.
Or
end of June, early July.
End of June. So he said first of many wins for Coach T. Great season ahead with a great group, and then fast forward to middle of August, and they still
waiting for that second win.
They're waiting for that second win, so it could be worse. It did not help losing overtime. It probably added fuel, gasoline to the fire. Losing in overtime at your head coach's homecoming is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I feel like they could bounce back, but that would be terrible. I can't imagine what that locker room was like. Not to cut PLL off, but I do have a practice to get to, so let's go ahead and start talking about some football, wrap things up, send everybody off to finish up their week, and get all of that good stuff taken care of. We're talking about the Western divisions of both the NFC and AFC. We'll start in the NFC, which is where the former Super Bowl representative from this conference resides. The San Francisco 49ers, after losing to the Kansas City Chiefs, they finished last year 12-5. LA also made the playoffs. They were in at 10-7. Then we had Seattle just above 500 at 9-8. And Arizona, obviously, I mean, they were tough. They played teams tough last year, but 4-13. They're hoping for a massive turnaround. They're hoping for more out of a quarterback that they put a lot of money into and have had countless numbers of drama. I think starting at the bottom of this division, I would like to understand what the identity and what the idea of Arizona is. I think Rich Gannon did a really good job of trying to import some kind of culture. He had everything working against him. They need, talent. They need all their draft picks to hit. They need to start taking advantage of teams instead of just giving them opportunities. They had so many turnovers. They had so many guys. You play well for a certain number of minutes of the game, and then you make a catastrophic mistake. I can say the same thing about Seattle. Yeah, they won that whole Russell Wilson fiasco debacle that we're calling it. Now it's time for them to start putting themselves back and figuring themselves out again. Pete Carroll's the oldest coach in the league. The bottom of this division, I don't think is going to change very much.
No, I'm very surprised if it did. The one thing with the Cardinals I think will be interesting is seeing how Kyler Murray and how Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously the number two pick, gelled together. I'm very high on Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to be one of the standouts of this draft, and obviously the right receiver position. I think, like I said, giving a young quarterback a stud receiver, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, you can call it like good. Like go down Patrick Mahomes. Like you go down a list of young quarterbacks, giving them a stud receiver, just one of them, and then try to build up the rest. I think is a recipe for success. Obviously, it's taken longer for the Cardinals to do that for Kyler than it did for Burrow and the Bengals, and obviously two teams are on different, obviously, tracks this season. So I think that's going to be a huge step up. I would love to see how this defense plays for them. Second year, you're under Jonathan Gann, who obviously was with the Eagles for a very long time. So we'll see how that all works out. Seahawks. Like I said, Geno Smith, it's a cute story. Everyone is enjoying it. That you want.
He's just what he is. There's no more upside for Geno Smith.
He's not winning this division for you. He's not going to. They have to have a insane second year or second unit or defensive unit that just comes up and just stops teams defensively, and that's what they're known for, the Seahawks. So we'll see if they're able to do that. I don't expect much from this offense. DK Metcalf, Lockett and company, and Jigba second year. That's great weapons. That's one of the best trios in the NFL, plain and simple. They at their best. But the fact is, it's Geno Smith getting the ball. Charles Cross, obviously in second year at left tackle, should help them. I just think that this team is still going to be hindered by Smith. And like I said, it's nothing against Geno Smith. It's a cool story that he got a second chance and that he's been a starter for the last couple of years. It's not doable to make the playoffs, is all I'm going to say. And unfortunately, for Seahawks fans, you're going to be drafting a quarterback next year more than likely.
I think that you need to, because when you have Drew Lock in your organization and you have
he's not there anymore too, yeah.
Well, I mean, but think about last year. There were a lot of people in Seattle's fan base that wanted to see what Drew Lock was because they had figured out what Geno Smith was. He's a solid quarterback, and if you give him above level talent, Geno Smith can do a lot of really crazy things. And I think 2 years ago when he first took over for us, it was more surprise than anything. Nobody expected them to do. Everybody expected them to be a JV team, and they weren't. So that was the surprising thing about the Seahawks from 2 years ago.
By the way, also, I totally forgot about this. Pete Carroll is no longer head coach. It's Mike McDonald.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Retired. So, yeah, long off-season thing. So it's a new –
So this is – I mean, I feel even better about that. I honestly can see maybe Arizona overtaking Seattle because they have more of an established coaching staff. I don't know what to expect now. Pete Carroll's been there for so long that it's similar to what I'm thinking about with Alabama in the upcoming season. I don't know how they're going to respond because it's been so goddamn long since anybody else has been on the sideline for that team. And they've been one way forever. The Legion of Boom, they've always been built. Interesting to see if they continue with that strategy. At the top of the division, it's probably recency bias because one of the other shows I listened to just went through the Rams training camp for their massive training camp week. The Rams are scary. I think that the Rams, looking at Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, they know exactly who their standard is in the division. They just had their first round draft pick in Sean McVay's tenure. Think about that. He's hit every single year that he's been a head coach on somebody in the draft, and he finally got to pick in the first round. And the kid that they chose, Jared Verse, is throwing around 5, 6, 7+ year grown ass vets for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm scared. I'm nervous.
Verse is a dude that I obviously was very high on the draft, and that if the Broncos didn't take a quarterback, I would have been all over Verse. But obviously, the turnover, no more Aaron Donald, so that's going to be a different, getting younger on the defense side of the ball. But the offensive side of the ball may be better than it still has ever been. Yeah. All right, yeah, second year Puka, second year Puka, second year of Kyron Williams now. You still have a really decent offensive line.
Cooper Kupp's going to be healthy.
Cooper Kupp healthy. I mean, like I said, this is one of the best offenses in football when hot.
One of the best coaches too.
So they're going to be as competitive as the rest. So like I said, I still think they finished second because how high I am on San Francisco and how much they basically just retooled. They didn't lose anybody. They didn't really gain anybody. They're the same fucking team for the last 5 years. It seems like, but with Christian McCaffrey. So I want to hear your two thoughts on this Ayuk situation because I've been told that a solution's happening. I've been told there isn't a solution. I'm told he's staying for a year and then leaving. I'm told that he wants to go here, that he doesn't want to go here. It seems like a whole lot of he says, she say, and until something happens.
Well, I mean, T had a similar situation, but honestly, I feel there's more mutual understanding in that situation that Cincinnati was dealing with than what I see going on in San Francisco. I think San Francisco thinks that there's obviously a disconnect as to how good Brandon Ayuk is, how good he believes he is, and how good the 49ers believe he can be.
I think there's a difference also between Ayuk, arguably is the number one receiver. Most games he's the number one receiver, and depends on the week, obviously.
Number one receiver, but not ever number one target.
Exactly, he's number one target, as opposed to the Bengals, who very clearly have a number one target with Jamar Chase, and that's why T. Higgins is a little more expendable, and that's why the 49ers are having such a tough time holding on to him and trying to get rid of him, I feel like.
Well, I just, 49ers see him as, yeah, you're technically the number one guy in the receiver room, but I'm obviously throwing it to Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, or Christian McCaffrey before I even look at you. Yeah. Unless you are the designated one read in this play, you're not the guy that I'm going to make a big play. And he thinks that he is. He thinks that he can be that guy. I feel like he wants to make some Deebo money. You're not Deebo Samuel. You're not Christian McCaffrey. You have one, you play, I know receivers are getting paid. I am going to take up for one of my childhood heroes, one of the guys that I like to listen to. Schlereth says it best. You play the most dependent position in football. You can bitch and complain and whine all you want. The guys who make money as a receiver are Tyreek Hill, who can play a weapon, the best weapon in the NFL. Guy who's going to beat Noah Lyles in a race when Noah Lyles finally accepts that challenge, if he accepts that challenge. You have Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey, guys that can score from any position on the field.
Maybe the second best option.
He is the second best option.
Best weapon.
I would throw it to Juicy Juice over Brandon Ayuk. I would give him the ball.
I don't know if I go that far. The one thing I thought that was very interesting today that I heard on the McAfee show as working today, that was the nail on the head, is like, if you're Pittsburgh, if you're New England, if you're I forgot who the third team in this. Oh, the Washington, who's Jane Daniels, boys Ayuk. If you're a team on this, do you think Brandon Ayuk is the missing piece to you winning a Super Bowl?
Say those teams again.
Steelers, Patriots, Commanders.
No.
Hell fucking no. So why the hell would you give up a second or third round pick if just wait a year? Right? And wait a year.
It is. It's true. It's not just the 49ers saying that he's not that good. It's the rest of the league also saying, yeah, you're not worth moving heaven and earth for. I'll pick you up if the right deal comes along, but I'm not. Exactly. I'll wait until you're a free agent.
Teams are like, I'll fucking wait. Hell yeah, you're not worth a second round pick, and you're not worth a third round pick. Like, especially with a guy who's expiring contract, unless you can confirm that he will be resigning, I would give up a fourth round pick at most. And that's the weirdest. That's the weird thing about NFL trades as opposed to NBA trades or NHL trades, where you feel like you have to move heaven and earth to get a middle of the road player. But like Ayuk is like I said, when he's good, when he's on top of his game, he can be a number one receiver. He's definitely a number one receiver right now in Washington. He's probably a number one receiver right now in Pittsburgh and New England. Exact same thing. Yeah, he's a number one receiver all there. But if you're one of those teams, I'm looking at him and be like, fuck you.
His production is going to get worse. You're taking him away from a good quarterback and putting him with rookies or unproven quarterbacks.
The only situation where he steps in where it's a easy jail right away is Jane Daniels, because the Arizona State connection they have. Like, let's not forget, Jane Daniels is the reason now you got drafted in the first place. Okay,
those deep bombs against Oregon were something to behold that night.
So let's not forget. So I feel like that might be the ending spot for him next year. But like I said, I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't give up a pick like that. And if you're San Francisco, you're kind of in a hole right now, because at this point it's either A, hold on to Ayuk and know that he's leaving, or B, try to trade him to anybody that's worth something and pay Deebo, which, and frankly, at this point, Deebo is getting a little older and Ayuk is a little younger, so I would have that conversation of trying to move Deebo, and because, like I said, there's other guys in this offense that deserve the money, more specifically 23 and 85, who do a lot for your team outside of catch balls. So look, if I'm San Francisco, it's a tough spot, but you probably need a result. You either need A, say, we're holding on to you, that this is your last year, or B, make something done, because right now you're just making a fool of yourself.
Here's what I think will happen is they will play out the first part of the season, until somebody has a receiver go down. I could see the situation where they get the value back for Brandon Ayuk that the 49ers want is if, God forbid, I'm knocking on all the wood that I have. I barely don't even want to say it. The Bengals have a receiver go down. Another team that's possibly in contention with a really good quarterback that knows, hey, we lost a weapon. I need to replenish this. I will now gladly. There's not much on the free agency market. I can get Brandon Ayuk. It's not likely in the NFL because you don't really get those one-season rentals like you do in the NBA and NHL. But that would be the best case scenario for.
The only reason why I think there is 0% chance of that happening is San Francisco's going to be in contention. If they were not in contention, absolutely. But if you're the San Francisco 49ers and you're top of your division, you're fighting for the number 1 seed, why would you willingly trade out Ayuk middle of the season?
If they're there, they'll keep them. If they're close, they will keep them. But if everything goes poorly, they will look for somebody to overpay.
Obviously, if everything goes poorly, but if having him on your roster is better than not having him on your roster, is all I'm going to say. A second-round pick in 2025 does nothing for your chances of winning a Super Bowl this year. And if you, unless you were trying to dump him and try to get off that contract, get out of this fiasco, go ahead. But at this point, Ayuk is going to be with your team, and you need to stick with it. And like I said, once he puts the pads on for the first time, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't shown up to camp yet. Once he does that, he's not taking that off until when does the season end? Beginning of February, end of mid-January, whatever it is. He'll be wearing San Francisco 49ers colors until the day of the season ends for the 49ers.
Yes. No, I think that's probably the most likely scenario. They're going to figure it out one way or the other, and he'll want to play to show that he still has value, whether he's going to be in San Francisco long-term or not. For the AFC West, before we get to what happened this past weekend, looking back at last season, obviously the defending 2-time Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs finished 11-6, won the division. Everybody else missed the playoffs. Nobody else was over 500 in the division. Vegas, Denver both finished 8-9. LA, behind Easton Stick for a majority of the season, finished 5-12. Obviously, fire Brandon Staley. Good riddance. Thank God if you were a Los Angeles Chargers fan. I almost said the other word that we're not allowed to say anymore. I want to say I love Bo Nix for giving me the ability to use my favorite movie clips to describe how Bo Nix and Denver Broncos country are looking right now. It's early, but this is what I will come back to, and this is why I'm going to let Niko go off and say what he wants to say about the Broncos, because it has been 9 years since something has looked like that in the preseason, since something has looked that organized in the orange and blue. It was ugly look. Like those uniforms. Oh, Robert Penner has come out and said, I can't believe that those uniforms came out that way. Robert Penner said they don't even look the way that they were supposed to.
Oh, look. I'm gonna say right now, the uniforms. I am going to defend the uniforms because I think the uniforms look a lot better on the field. Because with the sleeves, they look a lot better than jerseys they're selling because of how tight they are, and it looks natural. Is all I'm going to say. So I think the jerseys do look a lot better. It's still the best.
Their throwbacks are going to blow everybody out of the water.
Throwbacks are still the best in the league by far and away. It's frankly not even close. But
talk about Bo Nix. Talk about your dude.
Look. I've said this for how many years now? I think since we started this podcast.
This is 4 years for the podcast. It's been 9 since Manning.
All I want is hope. I just want a little glimpse of hope and a little bit of promise. I don't expect to win the division. I don't expect to make the playoffs. Frankly, if we get to 500 or near 500, 8-9 or 7-10, it'll be a fucking win in my opinion. Like I don't expect much, plain and simple. And sometimes it's better that way because Bo Nix has played a lot of football. Let's not forget he's played a lot of football at Auburn, a lot of football at Oregon. And Sean Payton finally has a guy that's just going to shut up and fucking listen and just do what he asks basically and say don't make mistakes. And there's one, and in terms of differences between him and Russell Wilson is going to fucking try to swing for the fucking fences and make every mistake known to mankind. Bo Nix, I'm not comparing him to Brady. I'm not comparing to Manning. And frankly, maybe a better comparison might be Brock Purdy, but he's nowhere near that. He is going to get the ball to the right guy. Plain and simple. He will get the ball to the right guy in the right situation. What that player will do with the ball, who the fuck knows, is all I'm going to say.
Drop it over touchdown, possibly.
fumble the ball on the goal line,
Fumble the ball on
the
the goal
others
line.
in.
Yeah, Chad Kroll.
That's the one
Lucas Kroll,
outlier.
sorry, Lucas Kroll.
That's the one outlier of see how things go. But the dude showed up and had 5 drives. One was the fumble by Kroll, and the other 4 were scoring drives.
And he converted 7 of 15 third downs.
7 of 15 for third downs. He passed for 125 yards. Yeah, that's not a lot of yards, but he led 4 scoring drives. Like I said, I'm not blowing smoke up my ass right now. I'm not going to sit here and say he's fucking God and that all aboard the Bo Leaf train. But I am believing.
Believe.
I am. Hey, all I'm saying is believe and turned out into something fucking sick. Is all I'm going to say. It took some time, but it worked out for Bo Dallas in the long
Bo
run.
Nix just has to lose his brother. That's really close to him.
Hired
back.
Stop. Either way, like I am believing. I see a glimpse of hope. There is no reason, and not a fucking single reason, why Stidham or Zach Wilson should start week 1. There's not. There is not a single one. So, and look, he is starting the preseason game this upcoming week. I will be in attendance because I come home Saturday. We play a Friday night game, so I come home Saturday, and so I'll be in attendance. So I'll get to see him live and in person. I would be very, very surprised if he wasn't week 1 because I think Sean Payton knows he's his guy, and he said it all along. He said it like as the draft not before the draft, but after the draft came through, Bo Nix was the 3rd guy on his list. It was Caleb Williams, it was Jaden Daniels, and it was him. You look at the other quarterbacks, and frankly, he may not be far off. You look at the other quarterbacks, Penix is going to be a backup quarterback for at least 2 years. Yep. JJ McCarthy's already out for the season.
Torn meniscus out.
And Drake May is having Patriots fans hype up Joe Milton because of how well he's played, that he could be the starter week 1.
That guy can throw the football now.
All I'm gonna say is there's only one quarterback that was drafted below Jaden Daniels that everyone's like, yeah, he's the fucking dude.
Huh?
Here's
the other thing. Here's my selling point for Sean Payton and Bo Nix. He said that he hasn't had a grade as high on a guy that he's wanted since Patrick Mahomes. If you remember back to the draft where Patrick Mahomes was taken by Kansas City moved up in front of New Orleans. If he was there at 11, Patrick Mahomes would be leading NOLA right now, and Sean Payton wouldn't have taken the year off of football, of coaching. He'd still be in the Saints organization.
They probably would have won a Super Bowl by now.
Easily. Oh, yeah, because the NFC is. Imagine Patrick Mahomes in the NFC. He already kicks the crap out of a really good AFC, especially really good quarterbacks.
Especially that division, which is cheeks. Oh my god!
But think about, we would have had Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady in the same division for 2 years.
Oh god, that would have been insane.
I'm smelling money. It didn't happen, but that's my selling point for him. I do think that people are going to be very surprised by this year because this is not Nathaniel Hackett's Broncos. This is not Vance Joseph's Broncos.
This is not Russell Wilson's Broncos either. This is
not
Sean
Russell Wilson's
Payton's
Broncos. And it goes back to a guy that people are debating whether he's going to be on the roster. Jared Stidham may have didn't necessarily play himself out of a job because he didn't do terribly, but he had 25 yards of penalties on that drive that he started. He's been in the league for long enough that everybody knows what he is. But when you had Mike McGlinchey going up to him after that first series being like, hey, don't mess with your cadence. You mess with your cadence, you screw us up, we put you in a bad situation. But it wasn't let go. It wasn't, oh, hey, we'll get him next time. McGlinchey is a guy who's now been here. He's a veteran in the league. He went straight to his quarterback and said, you don't fuck with your snap count. No, you do it the same exact way. Otherwise, we will screw up. And if I screw up, I lose money. Like, everybody's holding each other accountable. So just with that alone, I see two more wins, possibly. You can win 2 more games.
Over under right now is 5.5.
I see 5.5 very easily, barring any catastrophic.
I think our ceiling is 8 wins. I think we sniff around 6 to 7.
It will look different than last year's 8 wins because last year you had
7.
Last year you had a stretch of
70 to 20 in fucking Miami. That will not happen again.
And you're not going to have to rely on a stretch of 16 turnovers throughout the season. You had 5 weeks where you had 16 turnovers go your way. That's why you won those games.
And I'll go even a step further because we're going to talk about the rest of this division here in a second. I don't think we're the worst team in the division. I don't. I frankly do not.
Vegas for sure.
And look, Vegas, they still beat us. They Crosby's still a stud.
They still own us.
Brock Bauer is an animal. Like he's gonna be great. I still have Gardner Minshew fucking throwing in the ball in the year of 2024. I'm sorry, like that's not going to win you a division. And if the Raiders are competing for a playoff spot, they are overachieving. They are overachieving far and away. They are overachieving. Okay,
they don't have Josh Jacobs anymore, and I love what Antonio Pierce is preaching. Like I don't like the Raiders. I don't like their organization. I like him as a head coach. He's a guy that I'd like to play for, and I would kill somebody to be. Obviously, this is jokes for the podcast. I would do a lot of things to be a teammate of Max Crosby's because that guy just gives everything that he has on every single play, and there's not a lot of professional athletes you can say about that.
And look, there's a lot of circulation about Devontae Adams too. Devontae Adams, I'd be sick and tired of having Jimmy fucking.
Did you watch the receiver show?
No, I did not.
I would not want that guy. I feel the same way about Devontae Adams as I feel about Stephon Diggs, where if you can keep him happy, it's perfect. He is on a one-way.
He is on a one-way train to New York, and the only reason why the Jets haven't even thought about trading for him because they have their own problems with Hassan Reddick. Okay, so like I said, he is hated life ever since he stepped in the silver and black and missed his buddy Aaron Rodgers. So I think they're the worst in the division. The Chargers got worse. Let's not also sugarcoat it too. They lost Khalil Mack, obviously. They lost every single weapon they had offensively. Every single weapon. And the only returner that they have offensively, weapon-wise, is Quentin Williams, who can't catch a ball if the ball was a damn fucking balloon and it was standing right in front of him. Okay, so if that's supposed to be your number one, good luck. If it's Ladd McConkey, cool. Congratulations, I guess.
Score one for the white guys.
Cool. Your running back position is
you lost
Eckler. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, who both just said fuck it, let's go join the Chargers together because the Ravens signed Derrick Henry. Like this Justin Herbert has less weapons than he did last year, and the offensive line is the same fucking offensive line. It's the same thing. So the offensive line, it's not like you're the Bengals where you lost weapons and Boyd and Mixon and you gained offensive line weapons, positions up front where you're hoping for Herbert. You lost weapons offensively, did nothing to your offensive line. The only thing you got going for you is the hype train of Jim Harbaugh.
Hey, he's pulling sleds with 400-pound offensive linemen on.
Maybe he can block Max Crosby and block some of these.
I want a Nate Scarborough situation for Jim Harbaugh. That'll be the next movie clip that I pick. Okay. Son of a bitch, I'll go in. Why not?
Exactly. So look, I think we compete for the second spot with the Chargers. I really do. So I would love to see us compete and see what happens. And like I said, we're not winning this fucking division. The goal. Look, if you're the Chiefs win this division, like we both are in a very much agreement on this. And I think we both agree the Raiders are the bottom. I think it's going to be whether or not Herbert can make do with what he has and what Bo Nix does with his team, decides who is the second team. Basically,
it's going to come down to the Oregon quarterback. Basically,
so we'll see who does what there. But I think I'm confident in saying that with the way this division stacks up, it's going, like you said, if you're the Broncos, this is what you want. You want to beat the Chiefs once. Again, you beat them last year. First time in 17 games. You'll beat us 17 times, but you'll not beat us 18 times in a row. So you beat them once this year. You need to if you feel like if you want to be in a position where you're playing meaningful games in week 16, week 17, week 18 against some of these other teams, against week 18 against the Chiefs, you want to play meaningful games, you need to be above 500 in your division. I've said that constantly. You need to, out of the 6 games you play, you need to at least win 3 and hope to win 4. Plain and simple. You cannot goose egg lose 2 times to the Raiders. You cannot lose twice to the Chargers. You
lose 2 times to the Raiders. That's 14 in a row.
That's
14.
We're
one double-digit streak last year.
That's worse than the Chiefs because the Chiefs actually have been worth the shit. So I'm well aware, Jimmy.
No, I'm just like Broncos country. Be excited.
I'm well aware.
Be excited. That's what I'm thinking. Like you split your division and you break all of your double-digit season curses against these teams because that goes back to even when Peyton Manning was here. Like Peyton got his shit. Actually, I think it was the Kansas City one. I think it's been since
Yeah.
post Peyton for the Raiders. But I mean, still, I can't remember the last time that I've seen people walk out of Mile High playing against the Raiders. And the last few times, that's what's been happening.
So yeah,
Like, we don't even have enough fight on
the
the field to stick around and fight in the stands.
the goal is 3-6. Like I said, split each division game and be greedy and try to win 2 against the Chargers and the Raiders. That's the goal. And then if you do that, you're in a great spot to compete for a playoff spot. Not win the division, compete. I don't think you'll get in. I like I said, maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully, you're not going to vote I'm wrong. But if you do go 3-6 in your division, go 4-6 in your division, be greedy, possibly 5-6, then you can get yourself in a fantastic spot where you're competing for the playoffs. Is all I'm going to say. Because luckily, when you were the worst team in your division and have one of the worst records in the NFL, you do get a good schedule, and so it's a little bit easier this year than opposed to last year, the year before. So you're playing a lot easier teams. Obviously, the end of the year schedule is a lot more difficult. So, like I said, I think the ceiling's 8 wins. If we go above 500, man, I'll throw a fucking parade. But man, I am just hopeful for playing meaningful football games at the end of the season. And frankly, we did that last year. Like after we went on a little 5-game winning streak, and all of a sudden we're like, oh shit, can we somehow sneak in? Obviously, that didn't happen. But now the goal is to not just sneak up on everybody, to be in that contention for the wild card spot the entire season, and then see what happens. And then that's a successful Broncos season with the first year rookie quarterback. Absolutely.
It'll be exciting, and obviously this is where the excitement for every single fan base is starting to become its peak, unless you're a Vikings fan and you wanted to see JJ McCarthy, or Amarius Mims is dealing with a knee injury right now, which is scary because a guy that big, when you deal with soft tissue injuries, that normally doesn't get better very quickly. So
I saw on Reddit is demanded a trade after getting traded to the Jets. So I'm sure Dom is loving life over there in Jets land. So yeah, look, it could be worse. Is all I'm
good thing
say.
Dom's getting ready to get married in I can't even remember the number of months, but he's getting married next May, so he's more worried about that right now and like finding a house. And
good. Don't
being an adult.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
don't think about the Jets. He was the one I was trying to talk out of wanting Devontae Adams. I was like, watch the show and tell me if you want that guy in your locker room. I know that he'll be a totally different person with Aaron Rodgers, but he is whiny.
He's a problem.
Whiny. That's why I didn't want to watch receiver, because they all whine, except for George Kittle. I would be a member of George Kittle's family in a heartbeat.
I just want a fullback show. Give me Patrick Carr, Kyle Juszczyk. Give me
two fullbacks.
No, there's a handful of others. Michael Burton's on the Broncos. You could throw him in there.
Are we going to throw in the? I will.
I don't know.
If we throw in Mike Allstott, I'll watch
Mike Allstott, just have him go about his life currently and how many CTE problems he probably has. I feel like that's probably not as many viewers as a receiver, but you and I will watch it. I know we will.
I'll watch an offensive line. Hey, make it fullback offensive line.
Absolutely.
Fullback offensive line, because then we'll have enough people
Nelson, give me Quentin Nelson, Quinn Miners, Trent Williams. You kidding me? The amount of characters you could
Trent
get
Williams, Jason Kelce, if he was still playing. Jason Kelce would be somebody that I would be. He'd be around the show, obviously.
There's a lot. Low key offensive line might be the most entertaining show, because we all know the prima donnas, the receivers, and the quarterbacks are who they are. But offensive linemen, you may see some of the biggest fucking characters on the whole entire field.
And it's going to be hilarious watching a guy practice for 4.5 hours and then eating an entire fucking cake in the locker room because he has to keep his calories up. No, trust me, I got to be at a surplus, otherwise I'm going to drop too much weight.
And throw in Juszczyk for me if you want to throw in a tight end and a fullback, because they're technically linemen too.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I got a jet, so we're going to cut this show here. Really good show. Hopefully, if you missed any part of it as you were watching live, go back, listen. We had a ton of people tuning in. If you're a first-time listener, thank you very much. Become a bench warmer, subscribe, follow at FEOTB Pod. I have more 12-year-olds to go deal with football practice. Last thing, we need teachers. The education system needs support. I texted you, and I've told my family, and I'm not the only one at my school, so this is why I feel the need to bring it up. I have somewhat of a platform. I taught today. I was responsible for at least 20 kids in my room from 7:40 to 2:55. I had 25 minutes to myself to eat lunch. Other than that, I had no plan periods, which I don't think is legal. I don't know how that is. Obviously it is because it's something that has happened. This is my first year experiencing it at this school. It is happening because we don't have enough people willing to get into the education field, and we don't have enough people willing to get into education because education has been shown to not matter in this country. We don't support educators. We don't make schools safer. We don't try and make these people better. We're trying to turn them into mindless zombies that will sit in an office for 8 hours a day. And that's not what school is supposed to be about. You're losing teachers that are actually willing to try and do these things because you're forcing them to work 7 straight hours, having to watch 30 wild ass kids. Like, I love my students. But everyone, if you spend as much time with a 12-year-old as I have today, you would start having some thoughts like, I don't want to do. Obviously, I'm sticking with it. I love teaching. It made my heart happy by the end of the day, even though I was super tired. And I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of the school year. So I might as well learn how to deal with it. But I can just see the amount of teachers and the people that I went to school with to get my teaching license just go in and come right back out. And it's because there isn't enough support. So any teacher out there, reach out if you need to, tweet at us. You can reach out to me on the other social medias, anything like that. You are supported. You are doing very important work. And it's something that we need to address hopefully soon because it's bad.
Teachers and blue collar workers do not get enough love, and like I said, we're servers and people that work hard nosed jobs that don't get paid enough. Like I said, teachers, you specifically too. Like they are the people that are backbone of this country, along with our veterans. So it's important to help them out when we can. And like I said, I hope that gets fixed. It's not easy, but I know you're an absolute animal, and I know that you can get through it. So if anyone can do it, I know you can.
I appreciate it. All right. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Episode 193.
Don't forget to watch Saturday or watch Friday night and hope the craziest thing ever fucking happens and I make the playoffs. Okay, is all I'm gonna say.
Root for chaos. Root for chaos.
No, not like that. Root for the Redwoods.
Root for the Redwoods for some weird majestic stuff.
Stupid shit.
Yeah, stupid stuff. We're root for stupid stuff. Thank you very much for tuning in. For myself, Jimmy Pallotto, my co-host Niko Bryant. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit